Well, you know what? Let's peek our fandom. If he's ready for us, he's backstage. He can give us a thumbs up if he's good to go. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, very excited now to welcome on to the program. He's going to be at MLW War Chamber next Friday, March 29th in St. Petersburg, Florida. He's going to take on Matt Riddle. We're very excited to welcome Timothy Thatcher to the program. Good morning.
Hello, fellas. How are we today?
Doing well. How are you?
How are you, Tim?
Good. Well, you guys opened with talking about the triple cage. So, I mean, obviously this is going to be an amazing discussion here.
What are your thoughts on the triple cage, whether it's the WCW big, medium, small, or the Doomsday cage match? What are your thoughts?
To be fair, I missed the triple cage of the big, medium, and small one. That was past my WCW watching time, but the Doomsday cage, I remember that just being a ridiculous, because didn't they have to start at the top and climb down through trap doors and like pull a rope and a thing? It was a bloody mousetrap, wasn't it? Like same as playing the game. Ridiculous. Good for them though. Good for them. That's when you have a lot of money and you think anything, put stuff on top of stuff. It'll be great. Oh, okay.
So hold on. What's the most like ridiculous match you've had, like a gimmick match?
Thankfully for me, my reputation always preceded itself as being a grumpy bastard. So I don't think I didn't end up in anything too ridiculous, I think, ever in my go. So I'm very lucky. No Doomsday cage, though that would be a great story to have, that I once had to climb from the top of a cage through a little hole all the way down to fight some sort of swamp monster, right? Was that one of the ones they had some sort of...
They had Zeus come in there. Yep. They had...
right?
Yes.
It was like 25 people versus Hogan and Macho Man, right? So 2 people versus 30 people. Incredible.
Arn Anderson couldn't find his footing. Those cages were they had very little give to them. Anderson talks about how, he couldn't move around all that well. He was afraid to bump on these things because he was afraid that just they were going to break through. So he just had to carefully move about.
Oh, hard work. That's a hard night of work.
Your match upcoming against Matt Riddle at MLW War Chamber. I mean, this is years in the making from when you replaced Pete Dunne in NXT to defend the NXT tag team titles against Matt Riddle. Let fans know what they can kind of expect with this match against Matt Riddle and how this came about. And again, running it back or not really running it back, but facing each other 4 years after defending the tag team titles with each other.
Yeah, NXT was the last time I did see Matt Riddle, but in all honesty, our history goes back long before. I've wrestled him in 4 different countries, all over many independent companies. Like when he first started becoming known, I was one of his first big matches in Evolve, and so yeah, me and Mr. Riddle have quite the history. And then of course NXT is obviously the most seen version of it, which culminated in, well, you want to talk about weird cage matches, culminated in a fight pit where Mr. Riddle broke my teeth, which is always a fun, exciting thing. But, I'm not going to get any uglier. So, there wasn't that big of a loss in that one. But, yeah, we seem, even though we have very different personalities, I think our view on professional wrestling is very similar in that it should be very straightforward, hard-hitting, sports-based is more the idea behind it. So that's what we tend to bring out of each other whenever we have these battles. And yes, personally, we're very different people, but I think the idea behind the philosophy of this wonderful thing is professional wrestling. I think we share. So.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you know this is the 10th time you two are facing each other in singles competition, one-on-one.
10th time. There you go with the stats. Good for you, sir. Yeah, there you go. Hey, how many wins does he got and how many wins do I got?
Normally I would get that for you, but I was pressed for time today. So we'll get that as you answer the next question, we'll get that stat for you.
Okay.
You've got the last
important ones. That's the key. I win the important ones.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got the last win in the fight pit. So that's all that matters.
Exactly. So speaking of fight pit, another person who was involved in that match was Kurt Angle. Talk to me about kind of working with Kurt Angle in that match with Riddle in the fight pit.
Oh, yeah, Kurt Angle was a referee. Yeah, how bizarre life becomes sometimes. In the middle of COVID, there is no one in the audience, but I look across the ring and Matt Riddle's standing atop a cage, and then I look to my right and there's Kurt Angle saying, "Are you going to fight?" "Oh, yeah, I guess I am." All right, fair enough. So, yeah, very, very strange times. But, yeah, it was very cool that Kurt Angle agreed to be the referee for our little feud and makes us seem more important. So that's always a nice thing because obviously his reputation speaks for himself. So
It's 5-4 Riddle right now.
5-4 Riddle.
Yes, you did the last. You got the last win, but we're 5-4.
Well, then that means I better try really hard at War Chamber because we got to even this up here. This is important. Oh, goodness gracious.
We're adding stakes to this match.
Yeah, it's got to even it back up, and then we got to have the rubber match after that. Fair enough. All right. Good to know. And he's like undefeated now in MLW since he came back. So, oh, good. I'm going to have my work really cut out for me then, isn't it?
Is he putting the New Japan TV title on the line? Can we force him to?
Can we force him? Oh,
Yeah.
that's the key. Can we force him? I think New Japan might have something to say about that. I don't think they want this face showing up at their any one of their events. So maybe keep it on the really jacked guy with the long hair. I think make sure he keeps it. We don't want to bring in the toothless old man now.
I mean, you've wrestled in Noah, so would you not be welcome in New Japan?
Yeah, because I do have a consistent job in pro wrestling, though, which is wonderful. I actually just got back a couple of days ago, so I have no idea what time it is. So, but yeah, because the New Japan guys, they do have a trade a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Japan wrestling is interesting because I'm not quite sure how relationships go between companies. Sometimes it seems allowed and sometimes it doesn't seem allowed. So I don't know how they go. But yeah, many like Kaito Kiyomiya wrestled in the G1 this year and he's a big star for Pro Wrestling Noah. At the Tokyo Dome last year, there was many New Japan stars that wrestled. So they do come back and forth. But yeah, I don't know about myself how that would work out. But
so talking about confusion about times, I think a lot of people are confused about you not being a Brit. Can we address this right now? You're from Sacramento. At least you were built from Sacramento, California.
Yes.
Where does this British confusion come from? And how do you react when people think, oh, this guy's British, and you come out and you're like full American accent?
Well, so yes, I am from Sacramento, California. That is correct. I think because I spent so much time in Europe, that's where I kind of I lived in Germany for 3 years, and like I was working just for WXW in Germany, and then all the England companies because obviously it's very close. Easy to work in England when you live in Germany than when you do in the United States. That's a little bit easier commute. So it was that run. Also, when I started, my trainer originally put me with a shtick that was more along those lines because I kind of did my young boy training in England. For 3 months, I lived in a ring van and worked for the famous Bryan Danielson All-Star Wrestling shows, where I would come set up the ring and do all that stuff. So I kind of got a lot of my early experience as well in England. So I've spent a good portion of my life in Europe, and now my beautiful wife is English as well. So there is a lot of ties into the go. But yeah, how I become that it floats in and out. I think it's prevalent because my life isn't really an open book, so people can jump to whatever conclusions that they want on the go. But yeah, I think there's been enough stuff of me rambling on that yeah, obviously not a proper Brit.
And you were part of Ring Conf with Walter, now Gunther,
Yes, sir.
when that first started as well. So I feel like that also plays a big part in it, because you did spend a lot of time early on in Europe. But we're gonna set the record straight. Timothy Thatcher from Sacramento, not from Europe.
Correct. Sacramento, California, which people also find very odd when they find out I'm from California, because they're like, that doesn't fit either. I was like, yeah, okay. I'm a wandering man at this point in my life, so it's very difficult to pin down.
Making your return, making your return to MLW. The last time we saw you, unfortunately, the bout was stopped against Tracy Williams. How are you feeling? Obviously, you've wrestled since then, but do you feel like, all right, I gotta almost make up for that, because that, I'm sure, didn't end the way you wanted, and a lot of fans were hoping it would end?
No, there's professional wrestling is a very dangerous thing, and thank goodness for referee Frankie to save my life, because I was out and I was still trying to get up, and he's like, no, you're not. And thankfully he called the match, because that could have been a very bad situation. Stuff happens, and the more it's unfortunate, but the more damage that we accumulate from many years of this starts adding up. And then accidents like that, or certain situations, seem to come out more and more. So thankfully I was all right. I just time traveled a bit, where 1 minute I'm in the ring, the next minute I'm sitting on the chair in the locker room going like, oh, and the doctor's standing over me. You all right? Oh, yeah, doc. Okay, thanks. But very scary. But again, thanks so much to the referee Frankie, like taking care of me and all that stuff. But those things are always weigh on your mind, and that's Oof. So hopefully this time for MLW. But I mean, once again, I'm in there with Matt Riddle, so a knockout is always a possibility, because as fun-loving as that man can be, he's also still a very dangerous individual. So, let's hope I keep my hands up this time.
There are a lot of different individuals in the MLW locker room, and you were, again, there fairly recently, but out of the new crop of talent that are there, who are you most looking to hook up with after Riddle? Let's say you get past him.
After Riddle, Alex Kane, obviously, who is the past MLW champion. He won the belt the night that I was there last. He's a very impressive individual. Also, currently, the current MLW champion is Satoshi Kojima, who I actually hold a victory over in Noah in a singles match. So, hey, if I do well with Riddle, maybe I get a shot at the belt next, because me and Kojima have history as well. So, of course, MLW is always very good at bringing in a cross-section of talent. Many different individuals with many different skills, and they all excel in their specific thing, which makes the company very interesting and something worth watching.
Got to ask about Bloodsport. You're returning for Bloodsport X to take on Axel Tischer. You're the only person in Bloodsport who has defeated Josh Barnett as well. So tell me about just your experiences overall at Bloodsport and that style of the hybrid of the MMA and the wrestling.
Sure. I really enjoy Bloodsport. It is what I think professional wrestling should be, and that's straightforward professional wrestling. Even though I had ups and downs in Bloodsport, but I did, it's one of those things where you never take fights you think you're going to lose. But when I took the match with Josh Barnett, the conclusion in your mind is, oh, I figure this isn't going to go my way. But, every so often things work out, and I just happened to catch him. And that's the crazy part about submission wrestling, is literally anyone can catch anyone at any time. So I did get a victory over Mr. Barnett, which is probably one of the biggest victories I've ever had in my career, and very grateful that occurred. So Bloodsport is a wonderful thing. This year I get to wrestle Axeman, Axel Tischer, who the last time I wrestled him was for WXW in 2012, where WXW would have an Ambition tournament, which was similar to Bloodsport. They didn't take the ropes down, but it was only knockout or submission, and it was a 10 count and all this stuff. And my debut for the company was for their tournament in 2012, and myself and Axeman were the finals, and he won at that point. But yeah, so this is many years in the making as well. And also Axel Tischer used to be the brain force behind the ring conf idea, but he was signed to WWE and he left before it became anything wrestling wise. So him, Walter, and Axel Dieter Jr., who is Marcel, but no, now he's Ludwig Kaiser. Too many names. I can't follow anymore. But they all came up with the idea for the ring conf in terms of just being an idea and a philosophy to follow in wrestling. But Axeman ended up being signed to WWE as Alexander Wolf, and he left. And we ended up being the ones that actually put it out there for professional wrestling. So me and Tischer have a long, long history as well. So I have all these battles now because if you hang around long enough, all of a sudden you end up with the same people. You go in circles, and it is nice to revisit and see how we've all progressed because we all keep moving forward.
I love that you brought up Ambition because one of the first times I saw you wrestle live was WXW Ambition in Toronto in 2019.
Oh, fantastic.
So I got to see you not only wrestle Walter in the finals, but also in the semis, you faced Daniel Makabe, who's about to have his final match. Talk to me about working with Daniel because he is a Canadian talent that a lot of Canadians are fond of, and he's heading into his final match at the SCI tournament coming up.
Yeah, well, I also have a match with him coming up on the same day as Bloodsport, the evening for Action Wrestling. Their event that they will have that night, I'll have a match with Daniel Makabe as well, which was interesting. Strange how things in pro wrestling work. With Daniel Makabe, I wrestled him 3 years in a row on the exact same event, which was how our series began. So, geez, I can't get the years right because I've been hitting the head too much. But it was for 3-2-1 battle. Literally every July, so I would go on their event, and we would have a match. And he ended up 2-1 on me, but the Toronto one for Ambition was after that, and I'm up on him. So now we're also even. So this will be the rubber match coming up also on April the 4th. But yeah, Daniel, it's just one of those things that you never know how you're going to link up with people in pro wrestling. And we had the first match, and the company was like, we have to do this again. And it took another year, and then it became a tradition. All right, every year, this is how we're going to settle this thing. So I have one more go with Mr. Makabe before he ends up retiring it. Yeah, the SCI, which I got to do last year, and that's a wonderful tournament down in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. So, yeah, these are good things.
Got to ask about being Chris Hero's return match and being trusted. I know you have a long history with Chris Hero before he did this big return, but he'd been offered about 3 years, and then you were trusted with the spot of Timothy Thatcher's my first opponent back. So how did that match come together, and what was it like stepping back in the ring with Chris Hero?
Yeah, once again, lots of history with him. My matches I had with Chris Hero in 2014, I think, really helped elevate my level in independent professional wrestling. Because before then, I would make little appearances here and there and stuff. But I think my matches with Mr. Hero is what led to me getting quite a bit of momentum. And it definitely helped for Evolve at the time, which I had just started with when we had our first big match. So for him coming back and me being the guy, I think it was a natural fit because, once again, like I said, if you share the same view of professional wrestling, it tends to lead to good things. And I think me and Mr. Hero lead the same kind of image of how this is and all that. So I was very grateful to be a part of that. You can pull up the stats of how many times we have on the go, but I think he's in the lead now because he won the last one. So I need to have another go with him. But yeah, these are
you actually have more victories.
No,
is it tied? Okay,
they're tied.
Oh.
You did quicker math than I did, Joel.
Whoa, there you go.
No, Joel's wrong. If we're just counting singles matches, it is 4-3 in favor of Timothy.
What are you talking about? I'm looking at singles matches. Hero defeats Thatcher. Thatcher defeats Hero.
You're
Hero
wrong.
defeats Thatcher. Hero
You're
defeats
wrong.
Thatcher. Thatcher defeats Hero. Thatcher defeats Hero.
Joel, there's 7 matches between them. It can't be tied when the number is 7.
I see 6 in front of me.
All right, hold on.
Oh.
Timothy, this is live.
This is what we do. The argument.
There's
beauty
controversy. There's a power struggle. We must find out.
Of a live interview here. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to put it on screen. Everybody is you're going to want to punch Joel in the face for being wrong and putting out misinformation. All right. Here we go. It's uploading now. Count them up. Tell me who's correct.
Here we go. It's the West Coast Progress.
IWA Mid-South. Evolve 62. Oh, why?
There's-
No. Oh, because you have Ono in there. Okay, I don't count. I'm counting Chris Hero.
What do you mean you don't count it?
Oh.
What do you mean you don't count it?
Yeah, no, I'm looking up Chris Hero. I'm looking up the OG. I'm not looking up the KO number 2.
Acknowledge me for
Never.
being correct.
Never.
Well, if you guys put up that list and you're looking for other names, we also had our very first match we both had 2 bizarre names.
Oh, no.
It was for the Wrestling Retribution Project in 2011. I think he was Chris Hyde and I was Bryce Baxter Collins. That technically is our first match.
Here it is. Right? Okay, he won
that
that match, so that would make it officially tied because he did win that match.
Thanks for the
There you
assist,
go.
Patrick.
Look at that. But in all honesty, I'm very grateful that all these people that you bring up that I have all these histories with, that I've had multiple battles against and all this stuff, I'm very grateful that they are all very talented professional wrestlers. I'm very lucky that this is the kind of people that I'm drawn to and that my career has been kind of woven together with. Pro wrestling is a very bizarre thing, and you are so much in as you're made as much as your opponents are. And having these people that we've discussed today, Matt Riddle and Axel Tischer and Chris Hero and Daniel McCabe, are 4 very tremendous professional wrestlers that I'm very grateful to share the ring with. And whether we have differences personally or not, professionally, I think we always provide a very good, straightforward, hard-hitting pro wrestling match that seems to be enjoyed by the masses. So I'm very lucky in that aspect.
One person who I think you've only wrestled once, unless there's more weird name games here going on. And it seems like you guys share a similar philosophy on wrestling. But Bryan Danielson, you wrestled him last year on Dynamite. How did that match come together?
So this is an adventure. I'm over in Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah, and because of the time difference, a week before at 1 a.m, I get a message. Would you like to wrestle Bryan Danielson on TV next week? Yeah, of course I would. But I'm in Japan at the moment. You know, I live in America. I'll be home in however long it was. Maybe then would be a better idea. 30 minutes go by. I doze back off to sleep. What if we fly you from Tokyo? Yeah, okay. Well, let me check with the office because I was working for Pro Wrestling Noah. I have jobs for them, so I need to be back in time to work their matches as well. And it's sorted out where I flew to Dayton, Ohio for 1 day. I turned around and flew all the way back to Tokyo and then had 2 matches immediately the next 2 days for Pro Wrestling Noah. So, but it's one of those things. I was very glad that it did happen, and that was probably based on Mr. Danielson's recommendation. I don't think anyone at AEW has any idea about who I am or anything like that. So I think that was his idea, which is also a wonderful little tick to have in your box. So, yeah, I was very glad to do that. We do share the same mentality. I always say his match I went to APW King of Indies in 2001. And the first match that was on the event that I went to was American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Doug Williams. And I didn't want to be a wrestler. I had no thoughts of it. But I remember watching that and sitting there going like, oh, this is how this is supposed to be. So to get that match was very important to me. And I'm glad it happened.
We have a little game before we let you go that we like to play. It's called Partner Promo Punch in the Face. I'm going to give you 3 names from your past, and you're going to tell me which one you want to pick to have a promo off in the ring with, which one you want to have a partner for a tag team match with, and which one you want to punch in the face, go one-on-one singles competition. Are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
All right. Chris Hero, Josh Barnett, Bryan Danielson, Timothy Thatcher, partner promo punch in the face.
Wow. Well, Mr. Barnett is obviously the most dangerous of those crew, so please make him my partner. I need him on that promo off. Now, unfortunately, it's not necessarily my strong suit. I'm not much of a rambling man here, but yeah, goodness. I guess Mr. Hero, we can have that because I would like another match with Mr. Bryan Danielson. So I'll take that for the match, sir.
I like that because Hero, you have that history with. You two can draw from that in a promo, and you'll get the match, of course. That's what happens in a promo off.
Of course, it leads to it. All right, exactly.
But first on the list is Matt Riddle next Friday, March 29th at MLW War Chamber. It's in St. Petersburg, Florida, or you can watch it on Triller TV+. Timothy Thatcher, is there anything else you want to put over before we get you out of here?
It sounds wonderful to me. Please, because I work for Pro Wrestling Noah, also on March 31st at Wrestle Universe, they have a very big show. The current GHC heavyweight champion, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., who's 3rd generation of the Wagners and is only the 2nd person that's not a Japanese born resident to be the GHC champion, is defending against Jake Lee, who is a very dominant champion as well. So, so MLW War Chamber on the 29th on Triller TV+. Please watch that. And then a couple days later, Wrestle Universe, please, Pro Wrestling Noah. These are companies that are being very kind to me, and I appreciate working for both of them. So please.
You've been very kind with your time, and we appreciate it very much. Timothy Thatcher, the one and only. Thank you so much.
Thank you, folks. Go back and enjoy talking about your 3-tiered cage.
You know what? I think we will.